Welcome everyone to District's 38 Voice Fusion session today, mentoring programs and clubs presented by Sue Brooks, a distinguished Toastmaster. Sue has been a Toastmaster since 2000 and has earned 2 DTMs, which is the Distinguished Toastmasters Award in the traditional program, and 1 in Pathways. That is the highest award in Toastmasters for a member. She has completed 15 tasks and has extensive experience as a mentor and a protege. She has held every club officer and district officer. She has held a variety of club officer and district officer leadership positions. Sue currently provides free Toast host support for District 38 and serves as an Area 32 director in District 83. In this interactive session, Sue will share ideas with you to explore mentoring members in your clubs and beyond. You will learn about starting a mentoring program in your clubs, becoming a mentor and working with a mentor to gain advanced skills, and you will also learn about the Pathways Mentor Program. Please help me welcome the esteemed Distinguished Toastmaster, Sue Brooks.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Ann Golden. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful you took time out of your day to join us. Let's go over a few brief housekeeping rules. You may raise your virtual hand, your actual hand, or type a message or question in the chat if you would like to go over something that I am reviewing during the course of the presentation. I don't have any built-in question break slides, so please go ahead and interrupt if there's something that resonates with you. Next, as Ian said, you're going to learn about the Pathways Mentor Program, becoming a mentor, and working with a mentor to gain advanced skills, and how to start a mentoring program in your clubs. Information about the Pathways Mentor Program. You need to complete Level 2 in Pathways before you can access the full Pathways Mentor Program through Basecamp. And the Pathways Mentor Program is optional. By show of hands, if you can put your cameras on, or you can show your raised hand, one way or the other, how many people have already engaged with the Pathways Mentor Program? Ann Golden, Vani, anybody else? Phyllis, Michelle Brown? Okay, great. So some of this information will be a refresher. As you know, all Toastmasters need to complete Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring in their Level 2 progress. For the newer members of your clubs, please share that information with them and tell them the importance of that program in their growth and development as Toastmasters. Having completed 15 paths, I've completed that project over 15 times. So I'm quite familiar with it, where you would talk about your experience serving as a mentee or protege. Next, some of the things I want to go over with Pathways Mentor Program best practices. You want to set a time. You want to start a start and an end time for their project and leave a legacy. Meaning, if you are working with someone where you are the mentor, or if you are the protege, you don't just leave it wide open. Setting a beginning and setting an end will help set you up for success. This information is described in the worksheets. The actual formal mentoring program has you work for 3 months, 6 months, or a year based on what you'd like to do. But definitely have a start and an end time. What do you think I mean by leave a legacy? What does that mean to you?
leave your name or leave the resources you have given to the mentees so that they can remember you forever.
Oh, thank you so much, Vani. That's excellent. And also, so there's a transition in case you are no longer their mentor after a set period of time. More than one, and I've listed mentor and protege. If you are a mentor, you may be able to work with more than one protege based on your time, your availability, and the kind of support that the proteges need. And the proteges may be working with more than one mentor, depending on the skills that they'd like to develop. Has anybody here worked with more than one mentor?
I've done two.
Two, Anne?
I've done several. I've done
Sometimes
several.
people do it over the years and change the mentor protege relationship. Other times people have more than one mentor to develop certain skills. And we'll go into that a little later on in the program. Outside of the club, some people have asked me, well, what do we do if we're a newer club or we have so many new people in our club? And that's a good practice to implement when the club does have many newer members or if specific skills are desired. For example, I was working with somebody one time who was looking to participate in a TED Talk. And I hadn't done any TED Talks, but what I did was I shared her question or request with another person who did not present a TED Talk, but tried out or was involved with the process at one of the local TED Talk programs. So you can really reach out and help point people in the right directions. There are specific skills that they'd like to engage with. Any questions on any of these so far? Okay, I'll move on. Next up. And here we go. Some of the advanced speaking skills would be if a person is interested in pursuing the path towards a world championship of public speaking designation. I know we're in contest season right now, no matter what district you're in. And some people might not have the resources within the club, but the mentor might be able to point the protege in the right direction for somebody who has competed at a higher level. AS, accredited speaker. That's something else that not every club member is an accredited speaker, and not every club has one in their club. So you might want to go outside of your club if you need resources for becoming an accredited speaker. And we already talked about the TEDx speaker. And there's other advanced speaking skills that you might want to pursue, but those are just a few examples. Next up, another excellent idea is if your club members are looking to advance their leadership skills. For example, district leadership, if they want to serve as a region advisor or on the international board. I am a member of various clubs where our members are part of district leadership, are region advisors, and are or were members of the international board. So again, helping these people find the resources that they need and match them up with somebody who could help them will help their leadership development. And then special skills for everyone. You might want to reach outside of your club. For example, somebody might have a lot of pathways tenure. Ian introduced me, mentioned that I completed 15 paths already. And I have had people reach out to me because I'm familiar with the paths that we are currently supporting, as well as the legacy paths that Toastmasters International has decided not to move forward with. Somebody else might want to go outside of the club if they really want to focus on something specific, no matter what path you're doing. For example, vocal variety or body language. You might want to direct them to a person or a YouTube video or looking at other recorded things from previous world champions of public speaking. Something else that's interesting is some clubs actually take time to look at recorded videos as part of their meeting. It could be a time filler if their speakers drop out, or it could be a special presentation to look at something a past champion has done and use it as a means for discussion, evaluation techniques, and more. Any questions so far? All right, then I'll move on. Again, resources outside of your club to help you with the Pathways Mentor Program or even general mentoring. And that is geographic. You can consider this if your club meets in person and the person with whom you want to work doesn't necessarily belong to your club or can't come to your meetings, but you can always arrange to have a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting if that person is willing to work with you or you're willing to work with that person outside of the club environment where most of the mentor meetings take place. And again, mentor meetings can be in person or virtual. Anybody here do either or both of those? Let's hear from you.
I attend mentor meetings from India and here.
Virtual meetings, and that is club meetings or mentor meetings or both?
Mentor meetings, not club meetings.
Perfect. So Vani has experience with that. I've done both of them. Mentor meetings virtually can help you geographically, or if there's a weather issue. In-person meetings are always fun because you have the face-to-face contact and you can always enjoy a favorite meal. For example, Ann and I have met up at Panera with other friends. It's a social meeting, not a mentor meeting, but we enjoy that contact and we enjoy that food or the beverages and all. And you can enjoy some pretty good coffee too, depending on where you go, if that's your beverage of choice. Next up, you're probably saying, okay, Sue, that sounds great. But how do you find these people? How do you make those connections? Some of the things I thought of were people that you meet at contests or trainings. I've expanded my network from hosting these seminars with Voice Fusion. Also, I've had the privilege and pleasure of meeting some of you in person at various training and contests. It's a great way to expand your network, and you're not necessarily thinking keeping score. Okay, I met that person, maybe I could ask them for something. Okay, she met me, he met me. You just have a general sense of what works, who resonates with you. Venice, yes.
Hi, Sue. I just had a question. So it is possible that if someone is in one club, they can have a mentor from another club that's not their club?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We have that in a number of the clubs that I'm in. It's a great way to gain new perspectives. And also, as I said, if you have special skills you want to share or learn about, and also if a number of people in the club are new or newer. So thank you so much for asking that, Benice. Next up, you can find mentors or proteges from recommendations from area or division directors of the district trio. I see we have Michelle Brown, one of our division directors on the call. Michelle, you can come off mute and put yourself on camera. Tell us a little bit about that, how you might want to help make those connections with the people in the clubs you support.
Well, that is a very timely question because we just had our Division G officer training, and that was a huge piece of what I was saying. If folks need a mentor, let me know. And honestly, I haven't had a lot of requests yet, but from saying that just on Saturday, I've had 3 emails already. So, and again, it depends on what they're looking for. I personally had offered to be a mentor to one individual just because we had some really common interests. But I think it's really just putting it out there. They don't know what they don't know, and having that mentor relationship can really help them move along in their Toastmaster journey.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Michelle. I appreciate your insight as one of our division directors. And yes, it is timely. And you probably paired up with that person because you have the same level of awesomeness. Michelle and I
It is awesome.
enjoy this, yes. Moving along. Specifically about the Pathways Mentor Program. When you engage with a protege, if you are a mentor, or if you are a protege and engaging with your mentor, some of the things that you might want to think about or do or talk about, again, it's totally individual. What are your needs? What are your goals? Some of the things can be path specific. You could talk about leadership projects and leadership project ideas. If you don't know what kind of things you should be doing, but you're on one of those paths where you have to take a leadership role or run a high performance leadership project, run a tenure-based or a time-based project, but you don't know where to start. So that would be a good thing to talk about with your mentor. Another idea you could check in with your mentor is those longer speeches. For example, in the engaging humor path and in the presentation mastery path, there are projects that require you to speak between 18 and 20 minutes or 18 to 22 minutes. And you're probably thinking, well, what am I going to talk about for that long? And your mentor can help provide you with ideas. And based on how well they're listening to you, react to some of the things that you've done or done well or that you have an interest in. And if they take careful notes, like, oh yeah, that's right, that's a great idea. And then help you develop those longer speeches. And humor. Some people are interested not only in the engaging humor path, but integrating humor into some of their speeches, even if they're not working on that path. So that's something that the mentor can help you with. Club support. I've listed these 5 items, particularly because of some of you who are a DTM or Distinguished Toastmaster or working towards that designation will notice that these 5 things come up under club support. The first 3 are choices. You need to do one of Speechcraft, youth leadership, or be a club sponsor. And the last 2, the 4th and 5th, are to serve as a club mentor or a club coach. But if you're a first timer, if you've never seen these words and you don't know what this means, your mentor can, again, help point you in the right direction, help walk you through that Distinguished Toastmaster application and process. And your mentor can, again, as we talked about the connections with the people, point you in the right direction if they don't have all the resources. They might say, oh, okay, Michelle Brown's an awesome division director. She knows people who can help you learn about these things. We know here in District 38, we would be talking to the district trio who are coming back from training today in Texas, if they haven't landed. And Adirti and Michelle and Chris can help make those connections for you. If you are a member of another district, it would be the people in your district trio who can help set up those relationships for you, who can help let you know where these clubs are located, if they're meeting in person, and which of those things might be a good fit for you based on the time of the year and your time availability. So the third panel shows new members. Now, why is that important? New members to your club, they might be new to Pathways, they might be new to Toastmasters, but they may or may not be a beginner speaker. I just met somebody who joined one of my clubs who's a new Toastmaster, but she has extensive experience speaking because she works as a recruiter at the college level. So she's giving presentations all the time. So she could even be someone's mentor. And then new members on the other side, it may take time for confidence development. So you need to be aware of that, but that's something that you can work on if you are a mentor. Any questions so far before I move on?
I have a question.
Yes, Vani.
Yes, about the club support in the second column. You said that's for the DTM program, either club sponsor, club mentor, or club coach. It's either
No,
one
it
of them.
doesn't go like that. I'm sorry if you misinterpreted it. The first three, you would choose from one of the first three for the current DTM application process. That would be a choice of Speechcraft, youth leadership, or being appointed as a club sponsor. You would choose one of those three. And then the other line item you need to solve or accomplish or achieve is to serve as a club mentor or a club coach. Club mentor for a new club that just chartered, or a club coach to help a struggling club.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. And Vani, you and I can talk offline via email or chat after today's presentation if you want more. And definitely reach out to the district trio leaders for any of those appointments for club sponsor and then also for mentoring coach. We've also here at the Voice Fusion program done extensive programs for Speechcraft, which Ian Golden has facilitated in the past. Cheryl Rausch has presented numerous sessions on how to market your Speechcraft, and you can also get support with the youth leadership programs. And doing it will help, doing these programs in the middle will help solve or support your goal towards earning a DTM, but that's not the sole purpose of doing it. They each involve a lot of time, effort, and energy, but you will gain so much from doing them. And people sometimes just do them to help the district, to help new members, to help struggling clubs, independent of a DTM goal. Thank you for that question, Vani.
Thank you.
Next up. Earlier, we were talking about the time of the relationship. Different portions of the Pathways Mentor Program have you commit to various elements of time based on how much of the program you would like to complete. 3 months. If it's working for 3 months, you want to extend it, it could be with that same person for 6 months. You could go for a year if you'd like. You can go for more. After the end of the specific program, you may or may not want to renew it. I've had relationships with certain mentors and proteges over the years. Others have dropped out. Other people reach out. And again, my ability to take on other people is based on my time, their time, and how much support they require. So again, you can renew it after the end if it's mutually wonderful for both parties. But if not, it is okay. I'm just going to briefly touch on why you might want to not continue with a relationship. And that is if somebody moves or if somebody leaves the Toastmasters program or puts it on pause for a bit, So a calendar year might also work. We just started the beginning of the new year. That might be another time to assess and reassess if you want to take on new people. The Toastmasters year is another good one. Some people decide, okay, we're going to run this through the end of the Toastmaster year, ending on June 30th, and then reassess. And again, it doesn't have to be forever. You can you can reassess the match again based on time and availability shifts. If there might be personality differences, and I've had good relationships, but I've also heard of ones that aren't so great. A new mentor protege relationships need to be reestablished based on that. Non-responsiveness. I've had instances where somebody's assigned as my mentor, or they've asked to be, sorry, they're my protege, but I don't hear from them, or maybe they don't go to meetings. So even though it's the responsibility of the protege to reach out, you as a mentor can reach out. Hey, is everything okay? One time I reached out to a gentleman in my club. He wasn't even a protege. I was just curious because I hadn't seen him in a while. Is everything okay? He says, oh yeah, I haven't been to a few meetings because I had to take my son to tutoring, but I'll be back in September or whatever, excuse me, the month was. And when you reach out to people, whether you're a mentor or a protege or not, people appreciate that you've reached out and that you've checked in with them. And again, we mentioned before, a member might move or leave the club, so the relationship would end or be put on pause. And then sadly, these things do happen. They've happened in a few of my clubs, but we do have to address it. If somebody passes away, then the protege would need a new mentor. If the protege wants to try someone new, or if a specific skill set was achieved or their officer term ended, if that all makes sense, and they want another relationship to move on. Any questions about any of these topics? Okay, how do you choose? How do you choose? How do you get the matchmaker thing going on? Well, we can ask the protege if they have someone in mind, and this can be two ways. It could be if your club is just starting a mentor program and you don't currently have one. It could also be for a new member of your club where you already have a mentor program in place. You can ask them, is there somebody specific you'd like to work with? And then you can ask the mentors, how many can they work with, and to ask them to be realistic. We're doing this in one of my clubs. The one that Ian Golden and I are in, called What Exit in District 83. We just had a discussion about this the other day, and that is the Vice President Education is going to be sending out a survey, finding out, are you okay with who you're working with? Do you want somebody new? Can you take on another person, perhaps? And then the matchmaker. Okay, take care, Griselle. Good to see you. The matchmaker, it could be the Vice President Education, it could be the mentor coordinator, will notify both parties and ask, Ian Golden, do you want to work with Sue Brooks? Sue Brooks, do you want to work with Ian Golden? Something like that. And if the answer is yes, in both cases, then a match is made. And the other thing that the matchmaker will do is ask the new members if they want an assignment right away, or they want to get to know the club members better before they get an assignment. But right away is ideal, because this way the person can get started with pathways, can get engaged with beginning their icebreaker speech, and can keep the ball rolling from the start rather than these huge pauses and you don't know if the person's engaged or bored or feeling like they're not supported. Again, there's a couple of ways to look at that. Any questions on any of these topics? Next up. Okay, some more best practices. Once you get involved with the Pathways Mentor Program, you want to assess what the person's goals are if you are the mentor. If you are the protege, you'll need to communicate this information. Pathways Mentor Program has some wonderful worksheets to help you get started. I use them even if I'm not formally engaged in a tenure-based Pathways Mentor Program again and again and again. I just use the sheets because they work. The mentor asks the protege to define what their short, medium, and long-term goals are and ask them what they'd like to focus on first, because you don't want to focus on everything, just like writing a speech. You don't focus on everything. You focus on a few things that you'd like to do now. For example, for me, pauses, specific gestures, and vocal variety. That's enough. You don't want to overwhelm yourself or the mentor-protege relationship. So ask them, what are their goals? And then you can reassess this during the course of the relationship. Is it still the same? Has anything else come up? And again, column 2, be realistic. Don't try to accomplish too much at once with the relationship, but also if the person is stating that they want to improve certain things with their speeches. Just as I explained, gestures, vocal variety, and pauses would be fine for me for now. But you don't want to also using your space or speech writing or humor or anything else that you might want to think about. For newer members, confidence might be one. For newer members, removing filler words might be one. Number of people we work with have English as a second language, and they want support with their vocabulary. They want you to point out if they're using English in a way that could be improved. And there never has been anyone that I've worked with for English as a second language where they say, I don't want you to tell me about that. They've always been welcoming. And they're always asking, please tell me, which I find extremely gratifying. You may think, oh, well, you don't want to be too harsh or you don't want to hurt their feelings. But if, just like any evaluation or anything else, if you deliver this feedback in a way that makes them feel supported, they're going to feel happy. And they've expressed that to me as well. Any questions or comments on those? Next up, more about the mentor program best practices. Again, this is protege driven. The protege should be reaching out to you as a mentor. However, as I said before, with the timing, the mentor can nudge though, and it makes the protege feel that the mentor cares and remembers them. So again, it's really up to them, but you can also take action.
Oh, there's a
Yes.
comment in chat by Grizel. This is really interesting. He said she has attended a speed mentoring event with the purpose to match a mentor and mentees. He found it to be very fun. That's
Thank you.
interesting. I never heard of that. That is a good idea, don't you think so?
I do, yes. And thank you for sharing that, Chriselle. You want to come off mute? Yeah, I see you're off mute. You want to talk about it?
Yes, it's like The dating matching, so I understand that they do that speed matching sometimes, and they rotate persons until they meet the most of them, the attendees, and then decide what is the best match. But it's the same protocol, but in mentors and mentees purpose. Yes, it was very fun.
Was that in person or virtual?
In person.
Where was that?
It was in the Navy Yard. It was for an association that they did, but it was open for many people working there, professionals. And we do two lines: people who wants to be mentors and people who want to be mentees, and they just rotate. They have like 2 minutes to talk about their common interest. They have icebreakers questions, they answer them, they meet, and then at the end, they decide who is the best match for them. That's speed mentoring call.
Wow, 2 minutes. And nobody felt like it was too fast or they felt threatened?
I think they have one question for 2 minutes and answers with every person present, and then they have another question on another topic, and they do the exercise again a couple of times until they cover whatever topics they feel that they need to cover for mentoring purposes.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Griselle.
Yes.
Sometimes I get a little intimidated by time-based things. I don't get intimidated by the flags, but when I have to get it all out in 2 minutes or complete a task in 2 minutes, but I'm okay with table topics and evaluations, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, wow. Next up, again, more mentor program best practices. How do we get started? What if you're a new or a newer club, or you're supporting a new club as a new club mentor, which is a different form of mentoring? Or what if your club doesn't have one? How do you get started? Or how do you reinvigorate a mentor program that you might have had before, but has perhaps lapsed? The
Get in
mentor,
touch,
Go
get
ahead.
in touch with the officers.
Yes, thank you, Vani. Either the mentor coordinator, if your club has one, or the vice president education can send out a Google sheet or other format, short request form to get started. You can have various questions to help engage the members of your club. And the form should be something that has simple questions for maximum response rate, and don't have too many questions. Make sure it's the right format of question, whether you want it to be short answer, long answer, checkbox, but don't have too many questions. That will help give you a good response rate. Also, timely, the third column, ask for a respond by date to complete the questionnaire or form. Why? You don't want to just keep it open-ended, because this way people will think, I'll get to it next week. And then you don't have the information that you're looking for to present to the board or to make those matchups. Give them a deadline, make sure it's highlighted. Please respond by January 25th or whatever date that you would like. The next, be realistic when you are a mentor. Don't take on too many people just to be nice and then not be able to support them. It's okay to say no if it's not a good fit with your timing or a personality or whatever it might be. You could say, no, not now, or I don't have any current openings. I think this happened to me a couple of times because I was working with 7 or 8 people, and I'm also in 6 clubs in 4 districts, and I have several district officer roles. So I didn't want to take somebody on and then disappoint them if I couldn't support them with their current needs. So do that. Keep that in mind. The other thing that you can do is not make any promises, but say maybe you could try and then give them some other places or people. You don't want to promise a relationship for somebody else if you haven't asked them about it, but it's a good thing to do if you can help point them in the right direction, even if you can't be that person's mentor. Now, the matchups, the people can request you, or you can request the other person. And also let the mentor coordinator know if you have a relationship outside the club. For example, one year I was vice president education in one of my clubs, and I was talking to somebody who had a very high district leader position and an international, was it region advisor position? Griselle, yes, thank you. Under promise, over deliver. Perfect. And I wanted to make sure that that person was supported. And that person said, I already have a mentor. I'm connecting with people at the international level to help me with my goals as a leader. And that's fine. If they don't need a mentor in your club, but they already have the resources to find mentors outside of your club. Anything about any of those topics? And again, some of the things with your club mentor program, discuss some of the things that they need or want. And on the opposite side of the coin, discuss things that they don't need and don't want. And ask them if they need to know the members better before they make a choice. With setting expectations, I have found that the forms from the Pathways Mentor program to be very helpful to me with establishing the relationship. I ask the protege to fill out forms, but not only that, it goes both ways. I, as a mentor, will fill out the forms and send it to them. What do I expect from the mentor-protege relationship when I am the mentor? And the other thing that's super important about setting expectations that are on those forms is your availability and how you want to interact. I work as a proofreader during the workday. I'm not always available to take your phone call, but you could text me and I can get back to you after I'm done with my proofreading assignment or on my lunch break or after work. Phone calls would be annoying. Other people, though, love phone calls. You can call me anytime you want. Other people prefer send me an email. And then how you like to meet. Do you like to meet virtually? Like Vani said she met somebody in India. So meeting online is a good option if she's not in India. And I like to meet people online, but if they live not too far away, I can meet up with them. Or as friends, we could just meet up outside of a mentor meeting. Right, Ian Golden? We can go have lunch at Panera. Can you tell I like lunch and Panera? And then there's a transition at the end of the program, at the end of the term, and at the end, excuse me, of the Toastmaster year. Make sure you set the person up for success with their next mentor-protege relationship. And ask. I was working with somebody who was a past public relations manager for one of the districts. So she and I were mentor-protege. And at the end of the Toastmaster year, I asked her, do you want to continue or are you okay for now? And she goes, no, it's okay. We can stop. And then I let her know it's okay if you ever want to get in touch with me, even though the formal mentoring program and mentoring conversation and relationship has ended. And always keep the doors open in case they need you again or they want some advice, even if the formal program has ended. Any questions about that? And if it's a new year, Happy New Year. It just turned 2025 a few days ago. You can send the form at the new calendar year or the new Toastmasters year for a refresh. As I mentioned earlier in the program, Ian Golden and I are in one club together where the vice president education is going to do just that. We had an officer meeting the other day and she said, yes, I'm going to send out the email. Yes, I'm going to send out the form. And one of the requests is if you're available, let me know. Changes. It's good for the person monitoring and facilitating the program to know who might be available to help if something changes. People move, people pass away. And here's an interesting thing. Even relatively new people can mentor newer people. Think about that. Relatively new people can mentor newer people. I was in a club a number of years ago where we were all brand new, except for one person who brought the club to the company as a corporate club. We were all brand new, but we all had certain skill sets. So we did mentor each other. And we also had a corporate mentoring program where executives from the company were matched up with us to help us with career goals, even if they weren't just Toastmaster goals. And they didn't necessarily have to be from your department or from your area of expertise, but they had a management background and can offer you insight into something that maybe you never thought of. Here's another thing to consider: additional resources. Newer Toastmasters might be wonderful resources if they have advanced skills or might be far along in their career. Somebody might have a doctorate degree and have done a lot of research. Somebody might have extensive writing experience or extensive speaking experience. So they're a newer Toastmaster, but in their career or with their skills development, they could even give a seminar. Somebody might want to give a seminar on artificial intelligence or AI. Somebody might want to give a presentation on podcasting or some other something for which they have a tremendous background, and it would be of interest to your club or club members. Here's something called co-mentoring. We have different skill sets, and I'm going to read these different skills and show you how we help each other. Co-mentor A, leadership beyond the district level. Finance, treasurer, she has a lot of financial skill sets. Attended many international conventions. Volunteered with the Helping Hands Committee. Very familiar with Robert's rules and protocol. And knows a lot about filling out forms and paperwork, especially with starting new clubs. Co-mentor S has been a speech contestant, has completed several paths, some more than once. Background with public relations and advertising. Has a passion for body language and pauses. Podcasting. Has taken on multiple proteges and conducted a speechcraft. So you can see these two people have very different skill sets. And they can mentor each other where the other person has less experience. Anybody want to comment on that? Or
Oh,
any?
yes, I liked how you did this comparison. It gives a little bit of insight and gives us something to think about that we may not have thought of before. And I guess that's why it's important to interview even your co-mentor to find out what their experience is and talk to your protege. Well, they don't call them proteges anymore. I'm not sure, but to talk to the protege. about what it is that they want to, what are their specific goals from the mentoring experience, and that's where the form would help with that. And this way, you as the mentor would know whether or not you have the expertise in the areas that they're looking for, and to seek out a co-mentor and see what the protege thinks about that idea.
That's another way to look at it, Ian Golden. But this particular relationship is we help each other. This person helps that one, that person helps that
Mm.
one. A helps S helps A. Initially, it started out where one helped the other, but it evolved where there was this cross-pollination of skill sets. But Ann Golden, you are right. It is absolutely good to find out where everybody is using those forms. And using those forms that you get with the Pathways Mentor Program has certain parts of the table where you list your strengths, you list what can you bring to the relationship. And you don't just like toss them aside, or you don't just hastily complete them. You really do have to think about what your answers are based on what it is you would like to receive and what it is that you can offer to other people. And when you're beginning to work with another person, you can use a past form, but please update it based on where you are in your journey right now. So thank you for that additional insight, Ian Golden. There could be a couple of people that help mentor a newer person. But this is a relationship where we are helping each other as co-mentors and co-proteges. And these things develop too over time. It's like, wait, you know a lot about PR and advertising. You completed what? How many paths? And such. And next, I'd like to conclude by discussing some of the topics we covered today. We discussed a lot about the Pathways Mentor Program, becoming a mentor and working with a mentor to advance your skills, and how to start a mentoring program in your club. Before I go to the last slide, because we're almost at time, are there any final questions?
Thank you, Sue. That is really great to know regarding the mutual beneficial of co-mentoring. I was wondering, like you mentioned for new clubs, and I was wondering, like for the leadership positions there for new clubs, that could be something that would benefit the leaders in the new clubs. It could be working with someone there. But how can leaders, let's say if I was like the VPE and I'm looking to learn more in a mentorship about the VPE role. I think you mentioned I can go to another club and ask for there. I could go within my club. Maybe someone may not have the tenure, but they may have the experience in that role. But if it's a new club, how can officers find mentors? I know you mentioned some really great stuff there, like attending workshops, but any other suggestions?
Yes, definitely go to training, and you can ask those same questions at training, and the facilitators of the training can help point you in the right direction. And I have one more bit of help for you before we conclude, and that is more about mentoring. You can connect with me offline so we can continue the conversations. Here's my email. I'm going to place these slides after I stop sharing. I will place a copy of these slides in PDF format for you so you can get my email, and also this resource. This resource about mentoring is from Toastmasters International. It's a complete program. It's part of the Better Club series, and there are PowerPoints, there are handouts, and other things for you to read about mentoring, how to set up a program, etc. Much of which I covered today, but there's also extra resources there. At this point, I'd like to place the information in the chat for you, and you can then follow up after if you would like, and I'll turn it over to Ian Galton.
All right. If everyone would come off mute, and let's hear it up for Sue Brooks on a very well organized, excellent presentation on mentoring programs in your club and sharing her knowledge and educating us. And I want to thank everyone that came today and shared their thoughts, Griselle and Michelle and Denise for your excellent questions, and Bonnie for your participation as well. What makes these sessions so enjoyable is the interaction with the attendees. And we value your input as much as what the presenter is presenting, because we learn together. And it was an excellent, excellent presentation today, Sue. And we truly appreciate everything that you do for us here, not only in District 38, but as well in the many other districts that you belong to. You were just nice enough just to list District 83, but I know you are a member in some other districts as well. And she is a godsend to Toastmasters everywhere. So let's hear it up for Sue Brooks for this awesome presentation.